can't be serious. You mean you actually want her to make another batch of them kerosene cucumbers?
I hated pickles so much that biting those pickles was an unbelievable burden, just a chore, painful.
While The Andy Griffith Show delighted audiences with its portrayal of small-town life in Mayberry, the off-screen dynamics were far from simple. At 70, Ron Howard finally opens up about the most challenging moments of his early career. Despite the show's wholesome image, Howard reveals the discomfort he endured during the filming of the Pickle Story episode. But who did Ron Howard truly struggle with on set? Was it Andy Griffith, whose pranks often tested the cast's patience, or someone else? Join us as we uncover the untold stories and behind-the-scenes tensions of The Andy Griffith Show. A hit TV show. Besides the main and recurring actors of The Andy Griffith Show, from 1960 to 1968, numerous guest stars also graced the screen. Some were already famous, while others gained fame afterward. This American sitcom, featuring stars like Andy Griffith and Don Knotts, aired for 8 seasons on CBS from October 3, 1960 to April 1, 1968. The first 159 episodes were in black and white, with the final 90 in color. Throughout its run, the show consistently ranked no lower than 7th in the Nielsen ratings, clinching the top spot in its final season. Set in the fictional Mayberry, North Carolina, The Andy Griffith Show follows Sheriff Andy Taylor, portrayed by Andy Griffith. His wise and sensible approach to life and law enforcement keeps the town's minor miscreants in check. Much of his efforts are spent safeguarding the townsfolk from their own antics. The show capitalizes on common stereotypes of rural life, depicting Mayberry as a town filled with simple country folk like gas station attendant Gomer Pyle, played by Jim Nabors, and the town drunk Otis, played by Hal Smith, who often locks himself in jail after his weekly drinking spree. Taylor's bumbling sidekick is his overzealous cousin, Deputy Barney Fife, played by Don Knotts. Fife's overly eager and misguided actions usually worsen their predicaments. Knotts' performance was outstanding, earning him 4 Emmy Awards before he left the show in 1965, with Jack Burns stepping in as his replacement. Other recurring themes included Taylor's relationship with his fishing-loving son, Opie, played by Ron Howard, and his concerns over his unmarried aunt and housekeeper, Aunt Bee, portrayed by Frances Bavier. The Andy Griffith Show was part of a broader trend in 1960s TV that focused on humorous and lighthearted rural themes and characters. It led to 2 spin-offs, Gomer Pyle, USMC, 1964 to 1969, and Mayberry, RFD, 1968 to 1971. Despite neither Griffith nor the show winning awards during its 8-season run, Knotts and Bavier together earned 6 Emmy Awards. The show also inspired a reunion telemovie, Return to Mayberry, in 1986. But what about the relationships among the cast? Who held grudges and why? Stay with us as we dive into the specifics. Before we continue, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe to Golden Throwback for more content like this. Now, let's get back to it. Behind the scenes drama. It was drama on TV and drama off-screen. The Andy Griffith Show may have ended in 1968, but it continues to be loved, and its behind-the-scenes antics remain a source of fascination. The wholesome 60s classic was full of off-camera hijinks, often orchestrated by the show's star, Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith, the off-screen prankster. What was Andy like? Andy Griffith was known for his love of practical jokes. Griffith often disrupted Don Knotts' naps by dropping a metal film canister on the floor. George Goober Lindsay also fell victim to Griffith's antics when he woke up to find duck guts scattered around his dressing room. The cast got their revenge by stealing Andy's shoes, forcing him to wear his sheriff boots home. This playful spirit carried over into the Andy Griffith Show episodes, such as in Runaway Kid, where Opie and his friends prank Sheriff Taylor by moving his car in front of a fire hydrant, resulting in a ticket. Don Knotts' surprising series regular role. Don Knotts initially joined the show with a contract for just a single episode, as his character was not intended to be a series regular. However, after the first day of filming, executive producer Sheldon Leonard was so impressed with the chemistry between Knotts and Griffith that he offered Knotts a 1-year contract, which eventually extended to 5 years. The theme song, known as The Fishin' Hole, was composed by Earl Hagen and Herbert Spencer, with Hagen whistling the tune. Although it had no lyrics on the show, Griffith recorded a version with words. Interestingly, Ron Howard couldn't actually throw a rock into the lake during the opening credits. When 6-year-old Howard tried, the rock kept falling short, so assistant director Bruce Bilson had a prop man throw a rock simultaneously to create the splash. Watching closely, you might notice a slight delay between Opie's throw and the splash. Other surprising facts about The Andy Griffith Show. The creator of The Andy Griffith Show once wanted to rename the series, removing Andy's name from the title. According to Griffith, Sheldon Leonard eventually regretted naming the show after him and considered calling it Mayberry instead. Initially, the town was called Mount Pilot before becoming Mayberry, as Andy himself confirmed. Andy's real-life wife, Barbara, made a small cameo in the episode Barney and the Choir. Frances Bavier, best known for her role as Aunt Bee, originally played a different character, Mrs. Henrietta Perkins, in the pilot episode. Joanna Moore broke new ground by being the first woman to wear pants on the show, specifically in the episode Opie's Rival, playing Peggy, one of Sheriff Andy's love interests. Betty Lynn decided to retire in the actual town of Mayberry, which is Mount Airy, North Carolina, after a burglary at her Los Angeles home in 2006. Similarly, Frances Bavier retired in Siler City, North Carolina, captivated by the state's beauty. Oddly, maps of Idaho and Nevada, hung upside down, adorned Sheriff Andy's office instead of North Carolina maps. Despite Andy Griffith's claims that Mayberry wasn't based on his hometown of Mount Airy, the episode A Black Day for Mayberry shows Barney flipping through a phone book with Mount Airy on the cover, hinting at the town's real-life inspiration. One actor's identity remains a mystery, Mr. Schwamp, who appeared silently in 26 episodes, and even in Mayberry RFD, and Gomer Pyle, USMC. His true identity was once falsely revealed by a fan club as an April Fool's joke. Another enigmatic character, Nice Dress Nellie, turned out to be Don Knotts' stand-in. In the show's early episodes, Andy often referred to Barney as cousin, but this ceased as the series progressed, and they were no longer mentioned as relatives. Barney's nickname for Andy, Ange, was actually used by Knotts in real life, combining Andy and Griffith. In real life, Griffith and Knotts had personalities opposite to their characters. Griffith was more reserved while Knotts was serious. The approving nod Andy gives Opie in the opening credits mirrors a gesture Griffith's father used to show approval. Ron Howard's father, Rance Howard, was also an actor, and their strong father-son bond influenced the portrayal of Andy and Opie's relationship on the show. Ron frequently worked with his father, reflecting their close relationship both on and off screen. Andy Griffith's musical legacy and Don Knotts' departure. Andy Griffith is most famous for playing Sheriff Andy Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show, but his career actually began in music, and it remained a significant part of his life for over 50 years. Growing up, Griffith sang and played slide trombone at Grace Moravian Church in Mount Airy, North Carolina. He later earned a music degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and worked as a high school music teacher before entering the entertainment industry. In 1958, Griffith showcased his musical talent in the Broadway production of Destry Rides Again, which earned him a Tony nomination for Best Actor in a Musical. He also sang in the 1957 film A Face in the Crowd, where he played a jailbird and amateur singer. Throughout the Andy Griffith Show, Griffith sang in several episodes, and in 1998, he emphasized the significance of music to the show. He released numerous albums featuring country and gospel music, including a rendition of the Andy Griffith Show theme song with original lyrics titled The Fishin' Hole. Griffith's passion for music continued with his role on Matlock, where he sang in various episodes of the legal drama that aired from 1986 to 1995. His 1996 gospel album, I Love to Tell the Story, 25 Timeless Hymns, won a Grammy for Best Southern Gospel, Country Gospel, or Bluegrass Gospel Album. Griffith received further musical recognition, being inducted into the Country Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 1999 and the Christian Music Hall of Fame and Museum in 2007. In 2008, he appeared in the music video for Brad Paisley's single Waitin' on a Woman, which won the Country Music Association Award for Video of the Year. As for Don Knotts, when the team believed the show would end after its 5th season, he quickly found other work. However, when Griffith decided to return for a 6th season, Knotts was willing to come back on one condition. He wanted part ownership of the show. Griffith declined, leading Knotts to not return as Barney. Frances Bavier's complex legacy and cast bonds. Frances Bavier had a complicated relationship with her role as Aunt Bee on The Andy Griffith Show. As an actress from New York City, she felt her dramatic abilities were underutilized. Despite her feelings, she remained with the show for all 8 seasons and continued in the spin-off Mayberry RFD for 2 more seasons, being the only original cast member to do so. Bavier was known to be easily offended on set, leading the production team to tread carefully around her. Andy Griffith acknowledged that they sometimes clashed during the series. However, in a 2003 interview on Larry King Live, Griffith shared that Bavier called him 4 months before her death to apologize for being difficult during the show's run. In an interview with Bill Ballard for Carolina Camera, Bavier admitted it was challenging to be so closely identified with a character that she felt her own identity was overshadowed. Aunt Bee was depicted as having little sense of humor on the show. Bavier, born into a wealthy New York City family, lived a sophisticated life and attended Columbia University and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts before joining the cast. The relationship between Andy and Frances was often tense due to Andy's penchant for pranks, which Bavier did not appreciate. Thankfully, they reconciled before her death in 1989, with Bavier calling Griffith to make amends. Bavier's performance as Aunt Bee won her a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Comedy Actress in 1967. After retiring in 1972, she led a reclusive life in Siler City, North Carolina, living alone in a large, sparsely furnished home until her death. Don Knotts' favorite, The Pickle Story. Don Knotts particularly cherished the episode The Pickle Story, a fan favorite. In this memorable episode, Aunt Bee makes a batch of pickles so awful that Barney dubs them kerosene cucumbers. Hilarity ensues as Andy and Barney are forced to eat 8 quarts of the dreadful pickles. The episode is filled with laugh-out-loud moments, and it's evident that the actors were genuinely amused during filming. Cast's favorite episodes. The cast of The Andy Griffith Show had their favorite episodes. Andy Griffith's top pick was Barney's First Car from Season 3, where Barney had wasted his life savings on a faulty old car. Ronnie Howard's favorite was The Ball Game, written by his father, Rance Howard, who contributed to 5 episodes. Throughout its 8 seasons from 1960 to 1968, the show produced an impressive 249 episodes. Iconic on-screen chemistry. The producers were so impressed by Andy and Don's on-screen chemistry that they immediately drafted an employment contract, initially for 1 year, then extended for an additional 5 years. Griffith later said, "The second episode was called Manhunt, and I knew by that episode that Don should be the comic and I should play straight for him. That made all the difference." Their partnership became one of the most iconic in TV history. Opie's bullying battles. Ron Howard revealed that he was bullied for playing Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show. My character's name, Opie, rhymes with dopey. I'd have to get into fights with people. On the show, young Opie faced bullies with his father, Andy, teaching him to stand tall, and viewers watched with pride as Opie matured into a respectable young man. Despite the show's popularity, Howard struggled socially. In the 2012 biography, Ron Howard, he admitted feeling embarrassed about being an actor and rarely mentioned his TV work to peers, even though he took pride in his accomplishments. The Andy Griffith Show was the #1 show in the country, making his experience unique and allowing him to thrive in an adult environment, despite not discussing it with other kids. Let us know your thoughts on The Andy Griffith Show and its fascinating behind-the-scenes stories in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Golden Throwback if you enjoyed this video.